good work on that. I need to
I
find
mean,
one eventually.
it's a little fitting because you guys do like, well, it's like sci-fi. It's a little spooky. I don't even
No,
know.
Yeah,
no, it
yeah.
totally works. How are you doing?
Good. How are you? Thank you so much. I am not the best at Skype and Zoom.
No, it's fine.
One day I will get there, but so lovely to talk to both of you. You
Likewise.
Thank you.
guys are amazing, and you've done so many amazing films. I was just reading, you worked with Hans Zimmer, which is incredible.
Long time ago,
I
yeah.
read that you apprenticed with. I'm like, wow, you can't really get any better than that for an apprenticeship. Oh, look at my arms disappearing. Shoot. Oh well.
No, it's totally fine.
I'm so excited about Haunting on Bly Manor because I did see Haunting on Hill House. Did I say?
Yep.
Yes, I said it correctly. And it was great, and the music was incredible. The scoring was so spooky, and I love horror movies, and it's such an important element that people kind of they take for granted, I think.
For sure.
But you definitely notice if a score is not working with a scary movie because it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So what did you go? So with that, because it's kind of a continuation of that. It's a different story, but it's the same production team, right? Of the
Yeah, it's yeah. There's some new people. Well, Mike shot and directed all of last season 1.
Yes.
On season 2, he just did 1 episode, and then he brought in other directors to bring it on, just because I think season 1 almost killed him.
But it was really good. So
of course, he put his heart and soul into it, and it shows. But yeah, absolutely.
what was your process? Because you've worked with Mike.
Yep.
In doing that one and versus this new season of the show.
With season 1, we were sending cues and ideas to Mike while he was shooting something else, I think, and he was sort of responding and giving us some feedback, and sort of getting us sort of on the path of what we all thought was sort of working and not working. And then with this season, I think, and Taylor, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this season, Mike had a lot going on as we first dove in, so he kind of gave us some general like direction to head in, and then we kind of wrote for a period of time, and then when Mike wasn't as busy, he sort of chimed in and started sort of giving us notes and getting us going. So there was just sort of a different time frame as to like where we were sort of collaborating with him. But it was, I mean, it's a similar process in that, we're all sort of exploring ideas at the onset of it, and we're sort of, all sort of working together to find what the sound will be, and everyone's a big part of that. I mean, Mike is obviously the commander of the ship, as is Trevor Macy, one of the producers, and then we're all sort of working together though to sort of find what the sound and the harmonies and melodies will be.
Love it. Do you take any when creating in this series and just in general? Well, first of all, I have actually different question. How do you approach a multi-episode show versus a movie?
It's interesting you say that, because Mike tends to shoot like a film, like even though it's like almost like one long huge film. So because we've done shows that are more proper, like TV shows that are more episodic, and in the sense that the way the narration is told. But with all the haunting stuff, it's more like a long film. And I think Mike likes that sort of outlet to tell a story, because it's hard to cram in sometimes like a ton of stuff into a movie, especially if it's a long story. And Bly Manor, had a lot to tell on it, and there's a lot going on, and so it is like one long film, and we kind of treat it kind of like that too. We write themes like we would on a film. We write we have a palette we work from, and we approach it very cinematic version versus just kind of just throwing things and hoping it sticks, and with TV too, there's just the time factor because it's so rushed. And what's great about Mike is he brings us in early, so we can start writing before they've even shot or while they're shooting. He brought us up to Vancouver to go on the set, which was great, and it was a great experience because we got the way that it felt and the tone of it, which was a little bit different than Hill House. And so, obviously having that sort of beginnings is super helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, to be there from the start. I'm sure.
Absolutely.
And then you're working with two different timelines too, which I would think would create another challenge because, I mean, getting the sound for the different. I don't know how much because I haven't watched this series yet. Of course, it's not out yet. I'm really excited for it. But do you kind of find yourself like doing a different score for like certain characters and versus others, or not really, or it's
Andy, you want to?
I mean, it depends on the project, but on this specific project, we went with thematic material based on sort of story more than we did characters. I mean, and some of that was sort of some of that sort of bleeds over. Like in certain cases, a certain storyline is specific to a character, so then it sort of becomes their sort of theme. But for the most part, we had sort of like themes that run over the arc of the story and are specific to sort of what's happening within the storyline. But there are cases on like other shows or films where we've had straight up like character themes for sure.
Like we had a kind of a thing for Lady at the Lake for sure. But yeah.
I always think, of course, always think of like old westerns and like Clint Eastwood would be. I always think is like the classic example, but that's very.
Oh, those are good, though. I mean, Morricone. I mean, those are amazing.
I know. I was very sad that he passed. Last year he passed. God, I just was thinking about that. I think he passed away last year. Or was it 2 years ago? I might be way off.
No, it was this year. This year.
Yeah.
So sad.
I know, and he's incredible. I'm just curious, who are some of your influences?
Oh man, the spectrum's broad and wide. I mean, oh boy, for film music, I would say probably Bernard Herrmann is my. Also, I love obviously the great John Williams. Even stuff as rare as or not as I would say is commonly known to today. Eric Horngold. He did a lot of like the Seahawks. It was like a lot of pirate films.
Really?
He inspired a lot of stuff. I feel like that you hear Williams do. Yeah, actually, Andy turned me on to him years and years and years ago when we were like just met, and I became obsessed. But there's so much great stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think for me, for darker or scarier stuff, I definitely think Bernard Herrmann, just because at the time when he was writing like Psycho and Vertigo, the kind of style of music he was doing was really like not the norm. So,
which people forget too. You go back and you see with just in films in general. I think people are so used to, take for granted almost styling, and you go back to that time. You're like, that had never happened. That's not something that was happening, and how innovative it was.